Hey guys, thanks for jumping in here today. My name is Derek Roush with VocalPoint Consulting, and welcome to What's the Point? Today we have the pleasure of jumping into a conversation with the CEO of Edify. His name is Cameron Weeks. Cameron and I met about a year ago when they were launching Edify, and now we get to dive deep a little bit with them to talk about what makes them different. So I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you like the content that you hear here today, let us know. And if there's other content that you want to hear about with regard to contact center, unified communications, or cloud services in general, reach out to us, leave a comment below. We'd be happy to do a video on information that you guys actually want to hear about. So sit back, hope you enjoy the conversation. Let's dive in. So tell me a little bit about Edify, the 30,000 foot view of Edify, and maybe a little bit about your background and how you got started here.
Certainly. So we started Edify because we really reached a point of frustration where we just said enough was enough, that there was so much kind of nonsense in the market talking about the future and talking about features that could potentially help improve customer service, but they never were really made available to the market. And as technology overall grew, we finally thought there was this threshold that had passed, that it was time for people just to stop being marketers, to stop saying what the future could be and actually build it. Because at the end of the day, whether we work in a call center, whether we sell contact center software, or whether we do something else in the world, we're all customers and we're all affected by contact centers and by customer service. There's no avoiding it. And so the tagline of Edify is the fact that we're customers too. And really the reason this company got started is because we truly were just fed up. And it was time for someone to stop with the marketing BS and just to build a solution that actually moves customer service forward, that actually improves customer experience. And that's what we're doing here.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. So tell us, in kind of your words, what makes you guys different and how are you approaching the market today?
Yeah, and the answer to this, it will sound a bit cheesy, and I just haven't found different ways to say it, but it's truth. One of the biggest things that's different about this organization and a lot of people that we compete with is that at the center of the company is actual transparency. And that doesn't mean that we tell our staff what's going on. Of course we do those things. And of course we tell our customers how the product's performing. What we're talking is something, inherently different or deeper than just that base level, in our opinion, that we market and we demo software that exists, that you actually can go use and consume during the conversation if you so choose. And then to go even farther, we actually make it such that you can do those things, that you actually could go to activate.edify.cx and build a fully functioning Edify account with absolutely no restrictions and keep us honest to everything that we're portraying and saying that we can do. And then going down that deeper, just using the actual, not letting marketing twist the words around to make it sound better than it is. This is very much an engineering company ran by engineers. And so it's hard data, basically, on how we operate things here. Where I'm going with this is, everyone's favorite word, omni-channel. It's something that gets thrown around way too often, and we've been building towards omni-channel industry for 20 years now. And the upsetting part about all of that is that at the end of the day, omni-channel on almost every platform means that the platform itself can do chat, it can do email, it can do social, but by no means does it really do those things together. And the irony of this is that in our personal lives, we've been using omni-channel without even knowing about it for the last, almost 20 years as well. I mean, maybe just under that. The iPhone really changed that whole experience for us as consumers. Now in our personal lives, we are text messaging with someone, we're calling them, we're FaceTiming with them, all at the exact same time. And none of us think like, oh, I'm going to omni-channel a friend or I'm going to omni-channel my mother. Like that's not how not how this works. But on the contact center side, we can push these buzzwords, even though their meaning is so diluted and so ridiculous at this point that it doesn't mean anything. And so long story short here, human communication has changed and it's time to build something that evolves with that. And It's no longer normal for us to just want to have a phone call or just be on a chat. We want to do all of these things at the exact same time. And it's not even that we want to do these things at the exact same time to seem cool or to impress our friends. Like, that's ridiculous. That's not why we do it at all. We do it because it's more efficient. It reduces the amount of time we need to work through whatever the problem is we're working through.
Right.
And the problem doesn't have to be a product issue, like calling a customer service team for a problem. The problem could be trying to schedule, Mother's Day brunch with my mom. Regardless of what the issue is, we're all trying to optimize every part of our lives and be as efficient as possible. And if in our personal lives, we're jumping between these channels and we're using these $1,000 or less devices to do it, then why in the world can't our contact center solutions that cost significantly more than that have those same level of access and controls and empower people to solve problems faster?
You know my story a little bit. I think you and I spoke a little bit about it. Just the fact that years ago, I worked at Avaya and we always talked about unified communications, but nobody was really doing it. Like you talk about, that single pane of glass where I can have my email, my chat, my different channels that I want to communicate with, whether that's web chat, SMS and text. Those are the type of things that really frustrated me as a sales guy back in the day when we would try to sell unified communications, because it really wasn't unified. And still today, we're trying to get there. And so I'm sure you're going to dive into a little bit about what you're doing at Edify and how you guys are changing that.
Definitely. The single pane of glass approach is incredibly important. I always go back to the comment that the agents are on the front lines of customer service, right? They're the people that we're empowering to push our brand forward and to really be brand ambassadors. We really should call them that versus, contact center agents. And at the same point in time, unfortunately, that same group of people in the organization have routinely been kind of pushed to the side, and they've just kind of been given things when someone paid attention or someone thought of something new for them to do, versus really focusing on how should this team operate? How should it be the center of the organization? And obviously, we feel very passionate about really focusing on the employee experience and making sure it's better. And the single pane of glass is a huge part of that. We were recently, maybe at the same conference that we met, Derek, talking to a couple of people that were running a very large call center, and they were boasting about how the fact that they had just bought their team a third monitor for their desk because they have so many different applications and systems they were trying to use at the exact same time to help solve customer problems that they literally needed the screen real estate of 3 different monitors.
Right.
And the lady was excited about this. And what I heard there was, something that was terrible. And I felt really sad, to be honest, because I was trying to imagine being the poor person sitting in a customer service role with a customer who's probably not very happy, probably upset with me, trying to solve their problem. And not only am I trying to talk or de-escalate the situation with the customer, I'm also trying to remember literally which monitor my cursor is on. Like, why do we have to do these things? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Putting everything together in one place, having a single interface that lets us use every single channel that we need to solve the problem, that pulls together all the customer information in a single place, and then uses bots in a way that doesn't look to replace our human workforce, but instead looks to enhance them. So bots and humans literally working together in real time, where we're removing the wasted inefficiencies of humans answering the same repetitive questions, but we're not sacrificing the customer experience for bots that really can't solve complex issues. By putting these things together, we really can maximize for both outcomes. And the honest answer is we can put these things together at this point. This isn't a situation where the technology doesn't exist or we have to do these things separate. Anyone who's saying those things is just flat out lying to you at this point. The time is available to actually solve these problems. And so the last thing to kind of touch on the platform piece, so I don't take up the whole time without actually showing you anything.
Sure.
This is kind of the crown jewel, in my opinion. Very geeky, of course, but this really sums up the power of the Edify platform. So taking a step back and just describing what we're seeing here, the Edify platform itself lives, and this is actually going to get corrected in the next couple of days, so I can kind of share some news here, but currently lives in 12 regions around the world. We're just about to double that, actually, in over 24 regions, which we're really, really proud of. And so what's more important than just having all these different regions around the world is the fact that the entire platform is completely decentralized. There is no single point of control in the entire global architecture.
So Cameron, let me stop you there. Does that mean that there's no single point of failure either?
100%. You took the words out of my mouth.
Okay.
And so this literally means that we could lose the entire eastern seaboard, let's say, and the Edify platform would not even recognize an error occurred.
Right.
You would still just keep marching forward and working through interactions with customers. And so if you're a global company, this makes it incredibly easy to unify your entire team, whether it's UC and or contact center on a single place. Again, leveraging every channel that's generally available to us as society today. And then because of the way this is architected, because there is no single point of failure, we took the liberty of backing this up with the industry's absolutely highest, most inclusive SLA that's ever existed. It's actually 100%, and that 100% actually encompasses the entire product and platform. Because Edify not only owns the interfaces that I'll show you here in a second, it also owns the software, the application, the APIs, everything that we're running on is built and controlled by us. And then finally, we're the telco as well. And so this is not built on someone else's platform with a fancy UI put on top of it. This is all our stuff, all our system, all our services delivered around the world. The only thing that isn't ours, because it doesn't make sense anymore, is we don't own physical servers.
Cameron, I just want to jump in real quick, because as a consultant, one of the things that we get into quite often is in contract negotiations when we're helping out a client. We always look at that SLA, and I can tell you 9 times out of 10, we write a performance clause into that contract to help shore up that SLA. And what you're saying is you make our job a lot easier.
Agreed. And what we're talking about here is truly mission critical services to major organizations. And we take that incredibly seriously. This isn't an app for your iPhone or your Android. This isn't a website that you use to improve the performance of your sales team. Nothing wrong with those types of companies or those solutions, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here, if it stops, if it breaks, it brings the entire organization to a grinding halt. Every level of the company and every customer becomes incredibly aware when an issue happens in the contact center. And so because of that, just outages or errors aren't acceptable, period. And we wanted to build a platform that we really could stand up and proudly say, is protected against those things, as well as contractually bind the organization to delivering on its promises to customers. And so there's no hiding, there's no secret in our SLA. I believe it's edify.cx/SLA actually, and you can see all of the fine print. It's an incredibly short document because there isn't a lot of fine print here. We even have a chronic outage clause. I'm happy to say, first of all, before going down that path, that there has been no reported outages on the platform. And there's a chronic outage clause even going further. So not only do we give you back your money if we go offline to the point of 10 times your investment, but we also have a chronic outage clause that if it ever went offline for, I think, more than X amount of time, we nullify the entire contract and let you go forward. So we're incredibly serious in the performance of the platform.
That's awesome.
And the reliability of the platform for any size workload. Should we see some of it?
Absolutely. Let's jump in and take a look under the hood and see what you guys have to offer.
Awesome. So I've jumped in mid-conversation here just to save us a little bit of time. What we're showing is on the left side of the screen, think of this like our e-commerce website or our product, whatever it is, it has the Edify chat client installed on it so that I can chat into customer service and ask for help. The demo I'm giving here also is a chat-based demo, but as we've talked a lot about omni-channel, obviously the Edify platform supports all known channels. So whether it's chat or whether it's a phone call or video or text messaging, all of those things are possible. It becomes a bit easier in situations like this just to demo chat though. But I'll definitely, as we go through this, talk about how the other channels come in and how they can be leveraged. And so I've chatted in on the customer side asking for help with my account. On the agent side, which is the right side of the screen, you can see at the top here that I can see a conversation that occurred between the customer and a bot. The bot was very simple in this case, in which it only basically was trying to do an account lookup for this customer prior to directing it to an agent. But the bot could have been much more complex if we wanted it to be. And so we could have leveraged a knowledge base and tried to work through some self-help. We could have leveraged any other system and tried to pull more information together to prevent this from actually needing to be escalated to a live agent. But in this use case, we basically just wanted to look up the account, match it in this particular use case of Salesforce before delivering it to the agent. And so going back to our comment of bots and agents living together in the same place, though, that's what we're really trying to show here, is that even though a bot was engaged in the conversation and ultimately was transferred to a live agent, we can see the entire history here in one place. So we don't ever have to ask the customer to repeat themselves something that they just did with the bot. Or if the bot recommended a solution to the problem, we don't have to go back through that same solution and frustrate the customer even further. And so as an agent, I can reply down here and reply back over chat with the customer and work through the problem with them. But again, going to that omni-channel component we've been talking about, maybe it'd be easier for the customer to be able to use their their cell phone and send me a picture of the problem they're trying to describe. Maybe text is just not as efficient as a picture would be. And so to go to a text message, all I have to do is come down to the bottom corner, click this little up arrow, and actually click the phone here. And now this will send the next message out via text message. And the customer can reply back to that via text message and reply back with a picture. Or we actually could just continue the conversation over text messaging. How many times have you been in a situation where you've waited on hold with web chat, something's come up, and now you need to be away from your computer, but the problem's not solved, and so you're kind of doing this internal debate of, is it worth just like sitting here and struggling through and giving up on what you need to go do? And wouldn't it be easier if you could just move the conversation along? Long story short, fixing that problem and letting you leverage whatever channel you need to at whatever time for whatever reason is appropriate.
So you're saying you guys can seamlessly move that conversation to a different channel on the fly without any, blip in the radar there.
Correct. And we try to really stay away from, and I'm terrible at it, but use the words like move or transfer, because we're not even doing that actually. We're just adding in another channel. And the difference seems small, but it actually is incredibly important in that we still have the web chat running. And you can see that the thread actually even updated, even though I sent that out as a text message. And so on my phone here, I actually can see the message I received now, and I can even reply back with it and say, sure. And, it's a terrible picture, but I'm fortunate enough to be here in Santa Monica. And if you guys seen the news, we have the bioluminescent waves going on right now. So I just sent in a picture message that actually shows the blue neon glowing waves, which is really pretty cool. If you guys if anyone's in Southern California has an opportunity to see this, I highly encourage you to do so. Unless it's Governor Newsom, and then I definitely was not on the beach because that is definitely not allowed. So kind of just showing here how we can blend between different channels and put this all together into one interface. At the top here, you can even see I have a green phone button. If I click that, it'll actually launch into a live phone call. And even though I'm on a web chat and text messaging, I could add in that additional channel of a phone call if I needed to. And then in kind of wrapping it all up, I can, stop using any of these channels at any point in time as well. Maybe I need to talk on the phone for 30 seconds and just clarify something very quickly, and I don't need to be on the phone the entire conversation. It's not that we've now moved this to a phone call and we have to stay on the phone. It's that we're able to use whatever channel we want at whatever time we want to. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm not overly confused.
Makes total sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to our viewers as well. So what else? I mean, what else are you guys doing that you think is a little bit different than, say, your competitors like Five9 or In Contact or Serenova, TalkDesk, you name it. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that are trying to push this omni-channel narrative, and I know you've touched on it a little bit, but anything else that you feel that makes you guys a little bit different?
Yeah, we're also the first company to really charge this new category that we've created called BCAS, or Business Communication as a Service. And the idea here is that contact center or CC, UC, your unified communication, your PBX, and your API systems should not have to come from 3 separate vendors. You should have the ability to buy these things as one cohesive solution. And not just because we'd like to sell you everything under one logo, but that when you actually look at the ROI pitch that's being made for using these different services, it's multiplied dramatically when it's all together under one vendor. And while we were the first to put this together, we've obviously been followed pretty quickly by some other competitors. The biggest difference that we can offer on that front is that this code was actually developed to work together. This wasn't through acquisition. We didn't buy a UC company. We didn't buy an API company. We developed all of these tools, and they were designed from day one to work natively together. And so what I'm showing here is an outcome of when you can connect UC and contact center together natively. And so this kind of shows off some of the gamification functionality of Edify, where when something happens inside the contact center, we're able to send out a message to the rest of the organization or particular teams, kind of rewarding that person for accomplishments. And so someone got a fantastic customer satisfaction review. And so we can publish that out to the organization and give recognition to Bob for having done that. It's incredibly important in our current environment where everyone's remote and separated. That can, not only are you still dealing with upset customers, but you don't have your coworkers and friends around to cheer you up afterwards or to congratulate you when good things happen. Pulling in gamification and uniting the organization in a common place makes that really powerful and really helpful. And then on the other side of this, the administration piece, I think that we've completely blown the wheels off here and made something that everyone would actually enjoy using to administer a contact center, which is not something I don't think many people say. And so just a very brief, because I know we're running short on time, we built a workflow tool here. And this workflow tool on the surface might seem like, okay, I've seen a drag and drop workflow tool before, nothing special. I challenge you to take a deeper look here, because what we've really done is not just build a graphical IVR generator, if you will, but what we've really done is built an omni-channel workflow engine that replaces things like IVR, robotic process automation, interactive virtual assistants, lots of different things that we've had to have different solutions for a very long time. We found a way to push them all together into one thing. And so workflows are omni-channel. You can engage the same workflow via text, via email, via chat, via phone call, via video even actually. All in one business logic is contained all in one place. We've also added in machine learning. So you can do things like really advanced conversational-based routing and sentiment analysis in the same place with nothing more than a drag and drop interface. And then finally, you could use these for outbound campaigns. You could do this for a post-call survey, again, leveraging multiple channels. Or you could use this for appointment reminders. So if you're a company that does scheduling, you could you have a workflow that sends a text message reminder saying we have an appointment tomorrow afternoon at 1:00. Reply yes to confirm or no to reschedule. Work through a chat bot to reschedule it, and then have your human workforce standing right beside you if you need them to work through any conflicts that might emerge in the rescheduling opportunity. So a lot of stuff you can do here. I know it's quite a bit that I'm throwing at you, but I think if you look one level deeper, you find that while Edify plays in a similar market as a lot of different vendors, the technology and products that are available here are pretty dramatically different.
Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, I've seen a lot of different platforms out there. I think you guys have the most intuitive interface that I've seen to date. The last thing I wanted to
energy into that.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I wanted to touch on is just the whole idea about applications, because everybody wants to say, well, I've got a particular CRM or I've got this application that I want to integrate. How does somebody do that with Edify today?
Yeah, and that's why the CPaaS platform is so important. Because we have our own API infrastructure and the application and the platform itself was built leveraging the same API that's publicly available to our customers, it becomes incredibly easy for us to integrate into the obvious ones like the public clouds like a Salesforce or Zendesk or ServiceNow. But it's just as easy even to go to your something you're maybe a little bit embarrassed about, the 10-year-old database server sitting in the closet that only 2 people even know where it's like physically located at, let alone how to fix it. Both of those things are realities in our world, and there's no reason to try to hide from it or avoid it. It is what it is. And so Edify wanted to be able to make it just as easy to integrate with Salesforce as it is the 25, 30-year-old MS SQL server sitting in a closet in a building that we don't use anymore. And we really have done that from the API perspective.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a bit hard to describe in a very detailed manner, but it very much is possible, and we have customers doing both of those things, all of those things today.
That's really awesome. So I guess where I would leave it, Cameron, is any last tidbits that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, going back to the transparency piece just once more, I think the pricing is kind of the final thing that we're most proud of here, and that we publish it on the website. So there's no game of what the price is going to be. We don't we don't have a game internally of, well, we think this company's market cap's higher, so raise the price on them. We think all of these old games of contact center pricing is just ridiculous. And not just the point of hiding pricing, but also the way pricing works, we thought was time for change. And so we've obviously seen consumption-based pricing models emerge in the last couple of years. That's not new. And I think people really are enjoying the consumption-based pricing model. But as we researched them, the errors we found or the issues we found was the predictability of it. And so we wanted to be able to deliver a consumption-based price because that's just fair. There's no reason to pay for what you don't use, but also keep it predictable. And the outcome of that was this brand new model that we've created here called a per user per day rate. And so truly for $7 per user per active agent in the contact center, you have all of the functionality we've been talking about today. And if the user doesn't log in, they don't get charged. And if they log in and it's a busy day and they work for 10 or 12 hours, it's still just $7. The price doesn't change.
Gotcha.
Huddle Basic is our UC product. It's a bit more traditional, but still in a pretty aggressive pricing at $10 per user per month. And then the APIs are directly available as well. And they're obviously all usage-based like any other API you'd see in the market today.
Cool.
So at the end of the day, I encourage everyone to check out the Edify platform. It is radically different than things that you've seen. The words might seem similar occasionally, but I'd say that we're closer to the dictionary than other people you might hear using. So thank you so much, Derek, for having me here. I really appreciate it. Hopefully everybody was able to learn a bit and we've piqued some interest.
Yeah, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today, Cameron. Hey guys, thanks for jumping into that discussion with Cameron Weeks over at Edify. I hope you guys found it valuable. If you have questions, concerns, maybe you want to know more about Edify, maybe you want to know more about VocalPoint and how we can help you, reach out to us. That's what we do here at VocalPoint, is we help clients figure out unified communications, contact center, and cloud services. If you like the content that you heard here today, put a comment below. Click on the subscription link or the notification bell, and we'll continue to try to bring you fresh content. So again, hope you enjoyed the conversation today. And until the next time, I'm Derek Roush, and that's the point.